Howdy. I'm Infinity Solstice, bright wizard of destiny, at your service. Welcome to the gallery at Go Organic Sports Ranch. Beside me, I've got a poster created by man-woman called Madonna and Child. He loved the image of these cows. Anyway, this video blog is called So Many Cow Stories. I have argued of late that everything and everybody is connected. As yesterday's coincidence, which seemed like came right out of a spooky novel, will attest. Let me set up the scene. I'm up in my studio, this studio, working on a video blog, a little biographical tale of early days in the Columbia Valley. I talked about leaving my childhood home in the big city and heading back to the land, and a few other stories. One being about a cow, which I had just bought, and after tying it to a tree, later that day, it ended up on its back, its legs sticking up in the air, seemingly dead. But it wasn't dead. And just as I'm about to cut the cow free from its tether, Bob, Rhonda's cousin, drives up the driveway to the cabin and witnesses the whole scene. At about this point in the video blog, I go over to the house to get a beer because my throat is dry and needs lubricating. Rhonda is on the phone at that exact moment talking to her cousin Bob, whom she hasn't seen or heard from for 10 years. And he has just reminded her that he witnessed the cow scene 45 years ago. And it still stands out in his mind. I can't believe it. How is it a coincidence of this magnitude possible? Is it just a way too much of an amazing event to ignore? As I get older, I seem to notice these synergetic events happening all the time. Synergistic maybe is the word, I'm not sure. There are these invisible lines of energy or whatever that connects us to other people and events and our world. Maybe we just don't need cell phones at all. We just need to polish up our psychic connecting link to each other. I have no explanation other than all the evidence points to the fact that we are connected somehow. It's like when the phone rings and you were just thinking about the person whom is phoning you at that moment. The more I pay attention to occurrences of this nature, the more they seem to happen, and that's a fact. There's not much more to say about the event other than it really took my wife's breath away. She just couldn't believe it had happened either. But it did happen. How is it possible? The only conclusion I can come to is we are all connected, psychically as well as cell phonically. I made that word up. On the news as I write this expose, Canadians are protesting a natural gas pipeline that is about to cross disputed native land. While at the same time, I'm reading a novel by Michael Palin dealing with the same type topic, big companies and people and blockades and the like. This being just another example of how I and everyone else are connected to everything. It becomes obvious that the oil and gas industry and situation needs serious contemplating. Getting back to the cow incident, as it has become a more mind-bending event by the moment. I'm clicking around the TV channels a few days later on Adult Swim channel, and some words in print form are printed out on the TV screen. And this is what it did. If a cow ends up on its back with its legs sticking up in the air and it can't get up, it might die. It's like I printed it with my mind or my finger. What is the world telling me? Obviously, my treatise is true. Everything is connected. I feel when we run into these type of events, instead of focusing on the coincidence itself, we should determine what the event is pointing to, what's happening in and around the event. That could be the lesson, I'm sure. And maybe the lesson is, if you have livestock, you have dead stock, or holy cow, No, India is too far away. What has reached the end of its rope? Did the 60s reach the end of its rope? The 60s constituted a breakthrough, a fleeting moment of glory, a time when a significant little chunk of humanity realized its moral potential. I should try this again. The 60s constituted a breakthrough, a fleeting moment of glory, a time when a significant little chunk of humanity realized its moral potential and flirted with its neurological destiny, a collective spiritual awakening that flared brilliantly until the barbaric and mediocre impulses of the species drew tight once more the curtain of darkness. Thus spake Tom Robbins in his marvelous book, Jitterbug Perfume. Now I'm reminded that the activist I claim to be, what I do is to compose music and songs helping to remind us of our human nature. It is to nurture, yes, not just to consume or march off to war. Let's abandon war and remember we are all connected. And maybe our society has reached the end of its proverbial rope. And I hope my music will help to cut the rope free and reawaken our full potential. It ain't a revolution, it's an upwising. Peace and love. Thanks.